There's a simple reason Mythos caught my attention. Security teams are not short on findings. The real challenge is what happens when those findings can be validated, tested, and changed much faster. I recently published a report on Claude Mythos and the new cybersecurity operating model, and I wanted to share why I wrote it. At first glance, Mythos can look like any other model: new capabilities, early results, a few public examples, and a lot of discussion around what it can or cannot do. But the reason I wrote about it is more practical. Mythos points to a shift in the work that comes after discovery, which is validation, testing, chaining, and safe remediation. For years, security teams have had a growing number of tools that can find possible issues. That part still matters. But many organizations, the harder challenge starts after something is found. Can the team confirm that the issue is real? Can they reproduce it? Can they understand whether it can actually be exploited? Not everything can be exploited. Can they tell whether it can be changed with another weakness? Can engineering fix it safely? And can the organization test and ship that fix before the risk gets worse? That is the space Mythos points to. The real pressure is now around speed and judgment. How quickly teams can take a possible issue, confirm whether it matters, and move it towards a safe fix. That is why I think topic deserves attention from CISOs and CIOs, product leaders, and engineering leaders. The report looks at Mythos as both a model and a market signal. On the model side, Mythos appears to combine long context code understanding, reasoning, tool use, and cyber specific workflows. That makes it relevant to vulnerability validation, exploitability analysis, chain construction, patch validation, and post entry activity. On the market side, the release approach is just as important. Anthropic has not released Mythos as a normal self service model. You just cannot get it. It's being made available through a restricted Defender focused program. It's a Defender focused program. That's a key point. That tells us something important. Advanced cyber capabilities now has to be understood through access, governance, disclosure, and operating model design. That is one of the central points of the report. As these capabilities become more common, organizations will need to rethink part of the cybersecurity operating model in very practical ways. Security teams will need tighter connections between discovery, validation, engineering, testing, release management, and monitoring. Enterprise buyers will need to ask better questions about how quickly validated risk turn into shipped fixes, how fast you can actually ship. If you are building security products, developer tools, cloud platforms, or even managed services, Mythos is a signal that the market may start valuing outcome depth more than findings volume. Buyers will care less about another dashboard full of alerts and more about whether your offering helps them validate risk, fix risk, reduce exposure, and actually prove that the fixes actually worked at rapid scale and scale. Everything has to work at rapid speed and at scale. For services firm, the opportunity looks very different. The value will shift towards code-based readiness, test harness design, triage workflows, patch engineering, secure deployment, and incident response integration. Clients will need help turning model assisted insights into production safe actions. There are strong signals that Mythos class systems can help with meaningful cyber work, especially around validation, chaining, and post entry execution. At the same time, let's be clear, the public record does not show that these systems can autonomously compromise well defended enterprises from scratch. A lot depends on the workflow around the model. The test harnesses, controlled environments, human review, engineering processes, and the ability to turn findings into safe fixes. That distinction really matters. A powerful model can accelerate parts of the work, but it will not compensate for weak security, unclear ownership, poor testing, or slow release processes. The model's value depends heavily on the operating environment around it. This connects directly to my broader work with our clients. I'm spending a lot of time at how AI changes security operations, application development, software supply chains, and cyber resilience. Mythos sits right in the intersection of these areas. It affects how software gets tested, how vulnerabilities get validated, how quickly patches need to move, and how defenders should think about the time between discovery and impact. So, when I look at Mythos, I'm focused on turning the signal into practical guidance. The goal is to help clients understand what should change, where the real risks are, where there is useful defensive leverage, which claims need more evidence, and how organizations should prepare as similar capabilities show up in security products, cloud platforms, developer tools, and managed services. Mythos is still very early, but there's enough signal here for leaders to start planning. Cybersecurity programs will need to get better at turning security insight into engineering action. They're not going to have a choice. The advantage will go to organizations that can validate faster, fix faster, and still keep control over quality disclosure and production stability. If you are a client, or if this is an area that you are tracking in general, I would encourage you to read the report. It goes deeper into what Mythos is, what is the public evidence, and what it shows and what it does not show, and what organizations should start doing now as these capabilities become more common. I would also welcome your feedback, especially as this market continues to develop very quickly. Thank you so much.